Our guest this week teaches meditation. He's an author and a guest speaker and presenter on the radio. He teaches the importance of meditation and the balance between mind and body. His book, Pills to Peace, describes his own journey to his present state of mind. So please welcome Midnight Mcbride.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, what an intro. Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us.
Very special.
Oh, well, yes. Well, you've got some interesting thoughts, as is in your book, Pills to Peace.
Yeah.
Tell us about your book.
The book's maybe quite unique, I hope, because a lot of people who write about meditation or developing inner peace present themselves as always being floating around on a cloud and that everything's been perfect. And I explain that my life definitely wasn't. Far from it, and that if I can do it, anybody can. So there's a lot. There's the back of the book's an instructional to teach how to meditate, but the front of the book looks at the world and an honest look at my own life. So I'm honest, very honest about certain things which people find hard to handle sometimes, but I talk about drugs, violence, and the thoughts and the way I was when I was younger. I'm almost don't recognise that person anymore. I feel like that person is gone. You know, and I very rarely even get vexed. I certainly don't get angry, I don't raise my voice. Those feelings and emotions are very negative, they don't help anybody, and they can be removed from your life. It's actually, with a bit of inner mastery and a bit of inner work, if you take the time, you can develop yourself as a human being and become a better person. And when you operate as a better human being, you benefit the lives of all the people around you. You develop joy and bliss, which come from inside. Pleasure's derived externally. It's temporary, it's transient, and it comes from the material world, the realm of the five senses. Come inside, this is where you'll find true happiness. And when you develop this, you give it to everybody you meet.
Wow. And I'm assuming it didn't just happen overnight. You didn't just go, right, I'm not going to be angry anymore.
God, no. It took years of work. It took a long time.
It sounds impossible.
Well, you can go through in life. A lot of people don't reach this point till maybe you get to, say, 40. And the 40s is pivotal for a lot of people, and you go through, I had a nervous breakdown. Now, it's not officially a medical term, so you can call it what you like. You can call it a midlife crisis, you can call it, there's lots of names for it, but basically I went through a process where one day I woke up, I couldn't carry on anymore. I realised that I was pretending to be somebody I wasn't in touch with my true self, my true nature, that I wasn't happy, I was miserable, and that everything in my life, I needed to make some fundamental changes, so I went right back to basics. And I started with my social circles, recreational drug use, drinking, things like that. Once I became happy inside, just stopped effortlessly because I wasn't using them for fun. I was using them as a coping mechanism. So that they just disappeared. I didn't need them anymore. And I started to change the people. When you resonate at a certain frequency, when you operate in a certain mode, it's the law of attraction. You attract people. So people that are very negative, if you're very positive, you're not feeding what they need. I say if you're a positive person, you will attract positive people. So those people naturally move away because you don't give them what they need anymore. And so my circle changed and the negative people in my life moved away. The positive people came. And I started to develop a very beautiful spiritual community of people that I associated with. And I say that if you go through life, and the definition of a successful life is simply this. It's one good decision followed by another one. It's a choice. Everybody thinks you're trapped and you don't have a choice. You do. You can change your life starting right now, in this moment, by making a good decision followed by another one.
So where did this wisdom come from? Because you seem to be, I mean, you've obviously written a book, so there seems to be a lot of knowledge that you have, and you can impart it to people. So where does that come from?
Well, I'd say there's two avenues. One is I'm a Buddhist, as you know, which we discussed earlier. And becoming a Buddhist means you become very peaceful inside. And when you become very peaceful inside, you then reconnect with what I call your true nature, your true self. And we all have a lot of this knowledge within us, but it's masked. Our minds are so busy. We go through life, we're jacked up on coffee, sugar, and we don't get correct rest, we don't eat the correct diet, we don't do things that are good for us, we're not coping very well as a species. We're not, and that's why you've got lots of suicide and other things. And when you start to put this back together, when you create a bit of space and maybe go on a retreat, or you allow yourself time to process and start to make good decisions, then you'll find that a lot of the tools you have are already there. They're just forgotten, you know, and you need reminding. But also, I went on a journey of self-discovery, and I started reading a lot. I read a lot of, I started off with Wayne Dyer, Sadhguru and Eckhart Tolle, people like this, which helped me, you know, steer me in the right direction.
So you went on a journey of self-help?
But self-discovery and self-help, yes, as well. Yeah, certainly. If I read something and I felt that it was developing me as a human being, it made me feel better. If something simple, a guidance system is simply this. Most of us go through life and we make choices based on, and this comes from conditioning in schools, and we're not taught this with malice, we're actually taught this because people think they're helping us, but we're brought up to think what's going to make us the most money, which career is going to get us the most stuff. And we navigate through life by material possessions, wealth and power. Completely wrong. This inner compass should be, does this make me feel good? Is it benefiting others? That should be your compass to guide you through life. You follow that and you'd be surprised. Everything else takes care of itself. When you generate those feelings and you move forward with positive energy. Book 2, by the way, is called Learning How to Glide. And I describe a definition of gliding through life is this, is when you elevate yourself and propel yourself forward effortlessly using the surrounding energies in harmony with natural law. Everybody has the ability to do that. You can glide through life. It can be a wonderful experience, not a negative one. And that's simply by changing the way you think. If you get this right, they say if you want to change your world, change your mind. Fix this and everything else falls into place.
And you've not only written books, you also hold classes as well, don't you?
Yeah, not this year. What I did last year, I pursued certain avenues. So it was teaching meditation, and I went everywhere I could, anywhere that would have me. And the classes gradually built, and I had some very big classes as well, and I did beautiful venues as well. I did like art galleries.
Oh, lovely.
I know. I did a series of art galleries. Beautiful, beautiful experience. I did Bolton Gallery Saturday mornings. I did Rochdale Touchstones Gallery. I was doing there every Wednesday. I did a series of cafes and things like this. Then I started doing retreats, which was a wonderful experience. Very lucky to be invited to host retreats. And I ended up doing a festival, which was fantastic, Following the Joy, beautiful festival. And I did everything I could to spread the word that way, you know, to show people that with a little bit of guidance and help, that we can all do this. Midnight is the word midnight. I use it because it's my spiritual name and it represents something. Midnight is the point where darkness turns to light. It's when night turns to day. It's the new beginning, a new start. It's transformation. And I believe that with some of the wisdom that I have, that anybody can do it, and I can show them that. But also, that's definitely my life. Once I'd passed this point, I started looking forward and not backwards, not dragging all the past with me. I let that go. And my life started to blossom like a flower.
Wow.
If somebody was watching this, because mindfulness and that kind of looking after yourself is massive at the moment, isn't it? You go into all the shops and it's all books on mindfulness.
Yeah.
What would you say would be somebody starting on a journey like this? What would be your top tip for them to do?
Okay, I'll give you 2 or 3 if I can. That's
Go
okay.
for it.
2 or 3 tips. Number 1, become aware of your feelings. When you learn to meditate, if you start, and it's difficult for everybody at first, it's not easy. Because what you're doing is, Blaise Pascal says, all man's problems stem from his inability to sit quietly in a room on his own. When you become comfortable in the silence, then you can start to make changes, you listen to how you feel. When you start to meditate, you become very aware of the sensations in your body. Now, this is a miraculous healing machine. It can do amazing things if you give it the opportunity to do so. Things that they say can't be healed can be healed. The body is an amazing machine, but it also gives you signals. So I'd ask you to do this. Try and just pause. It's a wonderful gift. Pause and become aware of the sensations in your body when you're with people. If they make you feel good, be around them more. If they do not make you feel good, and sometimes it's not done, again, it's not done with negative intent, but some people suck your energy, you know, and you be with them afterwards, you feel drained. It really takes it out of you. You can help these people to a point, but there has to be a point where if it's detrimental to yourself, you disconnect. You have to look after yourself. It is not a selfish pursuit to look after yourself, because when you are operating at your best as a human being, when you are giving out positive energy, when your cup is overflowing, everybody else around you will benefit from that. So you have to look after yourself. It's really important. So I'd say look after yourself and become aware of the subtle energies in your body with the people that surround you. Secondly, making good decisions. Put things into your system. If something, you know when some things aren't good for you, you know when some things are good for you. Try just with one thing, make a good decision. Think, you know what, I know that's not good for me. On this occasion, just this once, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something that's going to make me feel good. And then a big part of it, unfortunately, which most people overlook, is your body. Your body is important, and you need to put the right things in it, and you need to look after it. And this starts with small steps. So, for instance, starting with a little bit of yoga, for example. Yoga originally was done, and yoga was preparing your body for meditation. That's what it's for.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. But yoga's a wonderful tool, and even I'm very limited with my yoga. This is why it's good for people to... Don't think I'm a yoga guru, and I am not. I can do about
Well, you know
5
more than
poses.
we do. I don't know anything about yoga or meditation.
I can do about 5 poses and I fall over. I'm not very good at it. I'm really not very good at it. But the benefits I get from it, you just do the best to your ability. And the benefits you get for it are incredible, you know. And when you start to fix this and you get, it's no one thing. If your mind's operating fantastically, but your body's not great. If your body's operating fantastically, which a lot of athletes do, but your mind's not, and I've seen it. I set off doing Ironman, and a guy with me was becoming very nervous, and then he burnt a lot of adrenaline and energy, and he didn't even make it out the swim. He got cramp and stuff, and that was simply because his mind wasn't right. I hadn't done the training I was supposed to do. I was miles away from it. I only started training properly again a month before because of, you know, circumstances. I did the Ironman, but I was in peace, and when I got out of the water, I told myself I'd finished, and I was floating around, I was smiling. Everybody else was in agony, and I was in bliss all day doing the Ironman because my mind was right. So
All about your mind, isn't it?
there's people who were far, far fitter than me that didn't finish, and by all rights on paper, I probably shouldn't have done, and I did it quite easily. It was comfortable for me, you know.
So what is Ironman for people that don't know?
Well, Ironman, I started off, I realised that my body was being left behind for years, and I talk openly about this now. I did steroids. I was an MMA fighter, I was a violent person, and I did weights, basically. That was my exercise.
What's MMA?
Mixed martial arts, cage fighting.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. And I looked after my body, but in all the wrong ways. I was putting lots of protein in. I wasn't really looking after it. It was all about the visuals, you know, and I was 4 stone heavier and big muscles, no fat in my body. Thought I looked great, but was really unhealthy. So then I started to develop my body in different ways, and I realised I wanted to be healthy, because if you're healthy, honestly, if you put the right things in your body, you'd be amazed how good you feel. And when you feel good, then that energy, that's what I'm telling you about, it's what you give out to the people, starts to naturally develop inside you. And so then I did triathlon, Ironman. Ironman's where you swim 2.4 miles, and then you cycle 112, and then you run a marathon at the end of the Ironman, you know. So it's a big day, it's, you know, 14, 15 hours of cardio. But then once I'd done the Ironman, most people do the Ironman again and they improve the time, and I thought, I can do that, what else can I do? So then I started to move into ultramarathons and ultra running, which I've been doing this year.
Ultramarathons?
So now I do, I started off doing 50-mile races, and now I've moved up to the 100-mile races.
Wow.
So I've only done 2 or 3 of those. I've done a few of the 50-mile races, but I'm now thinking, what else can I do? I was going to do a 215-mile race, which they don't go above 215 because they think it's dangerous. So you get to
Your body just goes.
yeah, they have what they call the Ultra Great Britain, which is a race, and this year it was across Scotland, 215-mile running race. Only 38 people up to this year had ever completed it. Right. And I was going to do that, but unfortunately I had other things that I had to do, so I couldn't do that this year, but maybe next year.
Wow.
You know, so.
You're also a radio presenter as well, aren't you?
Yeah, Salford City Radio every Monday night, 11 p.m, midnight till midnight, the Mind, Body and Spirit show. And I have various guests on there, which I'm hoping you 3 gentlemen are going to join me very soon. But I've had shamans on there. I've had ex-military guys, special forces that have had PTSD. I've had a guy that's a writer for Casualty and Death in Paradise. I've had a singer that's a lady that sings with Van Morrison. I've had some fantastic guests on there, you know. And it's funny that I knew a lot of people before from my spiritual quest, you know, meeting a lot of people, but also these people just started to appear, and now people approach me and ask, can they come on my show? How wonderful is that? Yeah. So I've already booked up all the guests, with the exception of you gentlemen now. I'm fully booked until January.
Wow, yeah.
Fantastic.
Great.
And you're also a bit of an actor as well. You've been in Peaky Blinders.
Yes.
You don't say it like that, obviously.
Yeah. I'd never even seen it. I went in it and I'd never seen it, and I was surrounded by all the...
Apparently it's very good.
I don't watch television. I don't watch very much television, and I was surrounded because television pumps out a lot of negative vibes, and like the news, I'm just the theme tune, I'm stressed, you know. And all this negative stuff, I always say you need to be informed, you don't need to be brainwashed. And once you know something, you know, there's a difference between being informed and being programmed as a human being. But I went on Peaky Blinders, and I'm only an extra in it, but I went on this scene, I'd never seen it, and then afterwards I said, do you know who that is? And I filmed, I think it's series 3 at the end, and they have a big scene where they're in a mansion, everybody gets arrested, and the lady, and something, or the main bossy lady in it, and Cillian Murphy and Arthur and everybody's in the scene. The whole cast and crew in the scene. We spent a full day filming. I'm a policeman with a big moustache with a truncheon. And I also did Scott and Bailey, and that's with Saran, help me,
Jones,
something like that.
Yes.
That lady. And I did a scene with her at the back of this wagon where they did a drug bust. That scene, you'd be surprised. You can shoot maybe 8 or 10 scenes, and 2 or 3 of them will make the actual cut. It's a lot done. So that scene didn't make it, but. So yeah, I've done quite a lot of things, yeah.
And you've also done a bit of travel as well. We've got a picture of you at the pyramids.
Oh yes, that was very recent. I'd been to Egypt a number of times, and because I was staying in very nice hotels, I thought I'll go to the pyramids next time.
Really?
There, yeah. But this time I'd had food poisoning, so I was ill. I went for 11 days, and I was ill for 8 or 9 days. And I thought. And I decided I wasn't going to go back to Egypt. I just had enough, really. It wasn't a good experience. I had medical bills and all sorts of things.
No.
So I thought, I'm going to go and see everything. So I hired a chauffeur, I hired a guide, and in 48 hours I did the temple at Karnak, the Valley of the Kings, the pyramids at Giza. I had a cruise on the Nile. I had a private driver and did the lot in 48 hours. Spent 20 hours of that 48 in the car and saw everything you could see. And I've read The Alchemist many times, which is a Paulo Coelho book, and the audiobook, and I just listened to it in the car on the way there, and it's all about the pyramids and finding treasure, and you realise at the end of the book that treasure's within.
Yes.
What he was looking for all along, he already had, which was... And so, yeah, I got a childhood dream to go to the pyramids.
And did you go inside some of the pyramids?
Yeah, I certainly did, yes.
Wow.
I did everything.
Was it a spiritual journey for you?
For me, yes, I'd say so, because it was significant in lots of ways. You know, it wasn't just about seeing the pyramids, although my previous career was always in construction, so I built, you know, nuclear power stations, football stadiums, things like this, and done a lot of tunnels. So for me, there was that element, but no, it was more about the journey. It was a spiritual thing. Yeah.
So if anybody wants to find you, perhaps they want to listen to your radio show or follow you on social media,
yes,
you're all over it, aren't you?
Yes, I think so. I think I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I think I know I have a website. And
what do people need to put in to find you?
Just Midnight Mcbride,
okay.
or From Pills to Peace, and I've got various things on YouTube, and I've done a couple of talks on there, radio interviews with other people, and the book's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, a whole... Pills to Peace or Midnight Mcbride, and you'll find me. I'm everywhere, I think.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much for joining us today.
It's over?
I'm afraid so.
We can't end now.
You'll have to come back.
I will, oh no.
So that about wraps it up for this week. Get in touch about anything that you've seen on the show today through our social media, which is on the screen now. It's The Could TV. We're on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. You can also, in fact, I recommend that you go to our website as well, which is thecould.tv. You find all of our previous episodes and podcasts there. So if you'd like to use your own provider to subscribe to us on your podcast, Chewing the Cud is what you need to search for, and you will find us. So that is it for this week. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.